it. People were talking about data applications. They were talking about the potential someday having the capabilities of your wallet perhaps on your phone, but more importantly, even having a phone with you at all times. And I can remember being at trade shows and talking to young people who were there and saying, by the time your 5-year-old is in middle school, she's going to be carrying a mobile phone in her purse to school. And they'd look at you like you're crazy because at the time, mobile phones were the size of a brick and cost $2,000. And so it didn't seem reasonable that we were going to get there. And where we are now, you look at all the capabilities of mobile phones and where technology has come, and it's just logical that a wallet or the capabilities of payments will come to mobile phones, and that this capability is coming pretty quickly. An interesting observation, if someone were to walk around this room right now and steal your wallet, you probably wouldn't notice it until after lunch, since we're getting lunch here. You wouldn't necessarily notice it. Might not notice it till tomorrow, who knows. But if I walk around and take your mobile phone, you're going to notice it before I finish talking. So it's an indication of where our society is and how much we value our mobile devices, and this evolution is just logical. So if you go to the first one here. So the ecosystem for mobile payments, you guys are very familiar with this. There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of things going on in the market itself. With respect to relationships, this is really about the consumer. It's about consumer adoption. And what I'm going to talk about is consumer adoption. How do you get to consumer adoption? How do you get to a place where consumers start using mobile payments instead of their leather wallet? And how do you replace a leather wallet? That's really the value proposition, I think, to the consumers. What's interesting is mobile operators, merchants, and banks all have relationships with consumers. So the question is, who owns the customer? And how do you monetize those types of relationships, and how do you create value for the consumer in such a way that they start using this kind of technology and these kinds of capabilities? So one term that is thrown around is mobile payments versus mobile wallet. Well, what do we mean exactly by that? Well, mobile payments is really a transaction, whether it's a web-based transaction, a point of sale, an NFC transaction, an SMS, some form of I want to pay for something, some good or service at this moment in time. Mobile wallet is really more along the lines, in our vernacular, is along the lines of a repository of value. And that value can be money, it can be cash, it can be coupons, it can be discount cards, it can be loyalty points, it can be miles, it can be messages, minutes. Anything that has value resides in that wallet, and then that wallet gives you the ability to make purchases, exchange for goods and services, transfer value back and forth between people, etc. So that's when we talk about a wallet, that's what we talk about. The technology solutions are fragmented. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's 2D barcodes in some cases, NFCs coming along, payments being made by SMS for a variety of different things. So the market is fragmented. Infrastructure evolution is going to take some time, point of sale in particular. NFC phones will show up, but it'll take a while before you have sufficient numbers to make that ubiquitous. And what is critical mass? Is it a number of people? Is it a kind of a set of technology capabilities? It's really hard to determine what that is. So in trying to get there, there's a number of different types of metrics around that and how the market will evolve. Changing the status quo is really key. So today we use a leather wallet. How do we go to where we start using our phone instead? It's driven by some characteristics that I'll talk about in a second here. And then the idea of competing ecosystems. So each player here, as well as the hardware manufacturers and others, all want to make money. So how do they all make money? That's probably the first question. Second question is, consumers, as an example, have relationships, as I pointed out, with each of the players in the ecosystem, the bigger ecosystem here. And who owns that customer, as I mentioned before, but also from a mobile operator perspective, mobile operators are interested in lowering their churn rate and getting revenue from non-traditional means like transaction fees as a point. Merchants, on the other hand, are looking for loyalty, and they really don't care what carrier you belong to. In fact, if we took a poll in this room, it'd be a mix of carriers. So you have to have a relationship with the consumer independent of the carrier relationship. So it's really a complex problem of figuring out how everybody works together in a way to drive adoption. So the solution, this is really sort of the big picture view of Alcatel-Lucent's vision of where we go with mobile payments and mobile wallet, and how we see this whole ecosystem coming together. And I'm just going to kind of walk through this quickly. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but just kind of give you the elements of this, and then talk about the go-to-market strategy associated with this. So first of all, software as a service is one value proposition that is really valuable from the standpoint of being able to get to market quickly, provide a multi-tenanted environment so that enterprises from a service provider perspective can be brought up quickly. So it's not a one-off solution at every enterprise or every merchant. They're able to build their own system and their own set of value points and their own set of applications. On the left side there, you see flexible user interactions. You don't see the word NFC there. Of course it's NFC, but it's a lot of other things. So the interactions for payments will not just be NFC. So solving the NFC problem is wonderful, but there are 2D barcodes. There are SMS transactions. There's the ability to buy things on the internet, on the web. There's even things like femtocells for passive registration. You walk into a store, the femtocell sees you, says, Brian, you're in Home Depot for the 10th time this week. You get 10% off on your next load of lumber for your construction project. Those kinds of identification and registrations, or I get an SMS message that said, would you like to join our loyalty program? Those kinds of interactions are not necessarily all going to be one particular technology. So from our perspective, this is really just an access point into a platform. Also, we believe that it's critically important that there's a third-party development capability here for building the applications associated with some of the content of your wallet. So if the value proposition, which we believe is you're driving from a consumer standpoint, you're going to start emptying my fat wallet, then you got to give me a way to replace my Colorado Springs library card and my health club membership and things that are unique to my ecosystem. So if I had everybody in the room here take your wallets out and we start matching up cards, we match up for about the first 3-4 cards. After that, everything's different. Now what? I got coupon cards, I got discount cards, I got barcodes, I got all kinds of stuff in there that really isn't the same for everyone. So this is not one size fits all. There has to be a way that developers can actually build applications for all the cards that are collectively in the room here. That also drives vertical solutions. So being able to build applications that are unique to a specific ecosystem. And I'll talk about it, I'm just going to touch on ecosystems in a second here. So for example, university setting. It'd be really nice if the mobile phone was used for checking out books, opening my dorm room, buying things in the cafeteria, going to the bookstore, registering at the gym. All those things can be used. Those are not all payments. There's ID associated with those. But with NFC, you have the unique combination of the reader, which has a specific function tied to my identification. So if I'm in the gym and I touch the phone, it means one thing. If I'm paying at a point of sale terminal at Home Depot, it's different. And if I'm registering for a loyalty program, things like digital signage. I walk up to a digital sign and there's different messages playing. Those are all time-stamped. If I touch my phone to something I'm interested in, there's going to be a message into this system. It's a rules-based engine that'll basically say, oh, Brian was interested in the car that was showing at 14:28 in 20 seconds. So it's going to be able to say that that's what he was looking at that moment in time, send him a coupon, send him a brochure, whatever. I can be walking through a retail store, touch my phone to a display next to a big screen TV, and a PDF is sent to my webmail address because that's what I gave it. And then I don't have a salesperson bothering me, but I have the information I would have gotten if I'd have done an extensive web search and printed out that information. On the right side, obviously, we're creating, we have integrations to payment networks. So the idea of being able to payments is a part of this, of course. So having an open gateway capability is just a part of the overall solution. But with open APIs, we have the ability to do things like integrations for closed loop back office systems, CRM. So you go into the grocery store. We've had a number of conversations with large grocery chains where they're interested in more than just giving you 20 cents off on a box of Cheerios at the end of the line. They want to be able to anticipate when you need Cheerios and send you something that goes to your mobile phone that you can then redeem at the point of sale the next time you're there, rather than my pet peeve is I go into our local pharmacy and I buy a bunch of stuff and then I walk out with a bunch of coupons for the next purchase of the same stuff I just purchased. Now I have to keep track of this stuff in order to bring it to the next time I go to the store. Stored value accounts, when we talk about stored value accounts, it's cash, of course. You can top up an account, has benefits to the merchants in terms of interchange fees, et cetera. But being able to also take loyalty points and coupons, and I mentioned before, things like being able to do virtual currency, if you will. So as businesses relate to each other, you can use points from one business to redeem it for something else in another business, and you create a little ecosystems around that. So things like your airline miles can be used for something besides the catalog of gifts, none of which you want, or more travel. If you travel a lot like me, you don't want to travel anymore. So giving me more options to get gasoline or to buy coffee on my way to the office or whatever would be really useful. And then on the bottom right here, we think there's an additional value in tying this into other services that are out there for mobile devices. So things like location-based services and mobile advertising. So I happen to be walking by a card store or gift store, and I get a reminder that says, hey, you're right by the Hallmark store or whatever, and Grandma's birthday's on Monday, and here's 10% off on a gift. So you're able to, this becomes very relevant, and if you pay with the mobile payment capability, you get an additional 5% or something like that. Those kinds of additional services are really valuable. Social media as well. We have a trial going right now. It's actually starting to roll out in Europe with NetLog, which is kind of Facebook for teenagers in Europe. And essentially, the idea is they accrue points and value online, and then they can use that at a fast food restaurant to actually get food. So it's a redemption of the online experience in a brick and mortar. Last slide. So the go-to-market strategy, we really believe that you got to drive a new status quo. So the status quo today is use your wallet, credit cards, cash. Starting to move a little bit. You see on the bottom right corner here, the Starbucks. There have been a number of announcements this week, as you guys are aware of, I'm sure. And so going to ecosystems that are really driven by frequency of use and relevance. So Starbucks is a great example because many people go to Starbucks every single day. Some people go there multiple times each day. And it's not geographically dependent. It's everywhere. So it's a very good example of something that can actually roll out quickly, get big adoption because of the relevance and the frequency of use. With respect to geography, though, there are a lot of other ecosystems that work too, like retail malls, as I mentioned before. A lot of different retail examples, universities, and then just getting into different kinds of affiliations where you start to tie together the value from one place to another, which is really valuable. So from our perspective, we're really looking at this. This is a consumer experience. It's a how do you build value for the consumer, which will then drive adoption. And we just believe that there's more to it than just payment or creating another payment option. So giving me the ability to pay with my phone, but I still have to carry the 14 cards in my wallet is it's valuable, but only in certain circumstances. So that's what I have. I'm certainly open for questions.
In relation to
you can flip to the last one.
Previous slide,